So recently I got around to watching the Halloween franchise. In this video, I'm giving you my thoughts on Halloween 2. I grew up watching Halloween. It was like one of the first horror franchises that was introduced to me as a kid. So this whole franchise I hold close to me. It's like pretty nostalgic for me. So Halloween 2 continues immediately after Halloween 1978, following Laurie Strode as she is rushed to Haddonfield Memorial Hospital, where Dr. Sam Loomis hunts Michael Myers through the town. Michael survives being shot and returns to complete his mission to kill Laurie. And the film keeps most of the action at the hospital and its environment, turning the familiar suburban terror of the first film into a claustrophobic night shift set piece where medical staff, nurses, police, and injured civilians become Michael's prey. The story ties directly to the events of the original, making the night a single continuous ordeal and ending on an ambiguous, grim note that expands Laurie's trauma and Loomis's obsessive pursuit. Halloween 2 explores trauma not just as a moment of terror, but as an ongoing psychological rupture where Laurie's calmness and confinement reflect how institutions often suppress rather than treat trauma. Her journey from passive patient to active survivor once again mirrors the broader theme of reclaiming agency in the face of overwhelming horror. Michael Myers is no longer just a mass killer. He becomes a mythic force. His silence, resilience, and lack of motive elevate him to a symbol of death itself, and an unstoppable, unknowable entity. Loomis's increasingly apocalyptic rhetoric painting Michael as a supernatural scourge rather than a man. And the film critiques the failure of systems meant to protect. Police are ineffective, the hospital is understaffed and vulnerable, and Loomis, though passionate, is erratic and unstable, and these failures highlight a rebellious worldview where evil cannot be contained by rules or reason. Laurie's arc subtly critiques the final girl trope. She is not empowered by violence but scarred by it. Her survival is not a victory. It's hollow and haunted, and the film suggests that surviving horror doesn't restore normalcy, it fractures it permanently. Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode deepens her vulnerability into a fragile, exhausted resilience. She sells panic, shock, and a dawning haunted strength across short, intense scenes, anchoring the sequel emotionally. Donald Pleasence as Dr. Samuel Loomis continues to portray Loomis's obsession with killing conviction, blending concern for Laurie with extreme determination. His presence preserves continuity with Carpenter's original tone, and the hospital staff and townspeople provide a mix of professional detachment and panic, with many of the supporting roles being functional, designed to heighten suspense and body count rather than deliver deep character arcs, which suits the film's slasher focus compared to the slower approach with the first film. In his feature debut, Rick Rosenthal leans into extended single-night momentum and tight staging, using the hospital's corridors to create suspense through limited restriction and sudden, close-range threat. The lighting and camera framing keep the original's mood while pushing chase dynamics into fluorescent clinical spaces. The editing favors brisk cuts during attacks and longer beats to create shock and disorientation. John Carpenter's music continues and variations of the original themes, keeping the atmosphere linked to the first film while using sterile, high-frequency textures to unsettle during the hospital scenes. Halloween 2 is less of a reinvention than a direct, darker continuation. It sacrifices some of the first film's atmospheric subtlety for relentless momentum, more graphic violence, and an intensified focus on the immediate consequences of the original night. Its strengths are Jamie Lee Curtis's wounded performance, Pleasence's obsessive Loomis, the claustrophobic hospital setting, and the lean more on shock and action. And I give Halloween 2 an A+, a 9 out of 10. I really like this movie a lot more than the original. Let me know what your thoughts are on Halloween 2 down below, and don't forget to like and follow.